Hello friends. Before I start, I would like to confess on behalf of our team. This is our first attempt to create an audiovisual report and publish it through the platform of YouTube. I would like to assure all our viewers that we will be publishing videos on a regular basis in future as well. Thank you for reviewing this video and supporting us. And please put forward your thought on the topic discussed down on the comment section. At present context, it seems like the US is mostly guided by the narrow instinct of election on November, and Trump administration is using almost all the tools available to make the election fall on their feet. This will be clearer from another perspective. The US population has already been divided into Democrats in city areas and Republicans in suburbs mostly. There are few swing states where the actual politics of election will be carried on, and both the candidates from both parties are trying to influence this population. But there are also swing votes among populations of Chinese origins and Indian origins, and these populations has grown in significant number recently. The contrary to these two sets of population group is that the population of Chinese origins seems to hate the autocratic rule of China, and the population of Indian origins seems to be fond of their leadership in India. This difference in orientation within the voters has set the competition between the two candidates of presidential election to give speech and draft policies of polarization targeting China. Trump campaign has clearly given the message to population of Chinese origin by allowing the visit of his health minister to Taiwan, and seems like they know the calculation as this will benefit their election campaign. In addition, on the other side, Joe Biden has chosen Kamala Harris as his running mate to influence the population of Indian origins and blacks. Need not to forget, a huge program named Namaste Trump, with presence of more than 100,000 people, was conducted in India during Trump's recent visit to India, so that positive vibration can be created. But it is completely different story on relations between India and US. We will cover it on future videos, and for now there are still few more months until election, and both the candidates will try their best to influence this swing population and get elected. In context of the old politics, summing of the present scenario brings US and China at limelight. It is obvious that USA and China are using all their available soft tools in various parts of the world in order to dominate each other. Although this might sound abnormal to the lobbies of democracy, but there is some sort of autocratic steps taken by both of the nation for dominating the other nation. USA was almost certain to criticize the rise of China whoever would have been elected as president on last election because of the gigantic rise in Chinese influence all over the world, especially after the 2008 crisis. The policy of engagement by US seemed to be not working, and there was a need to formulate a new policy regarding China from US eyes, and this has forced to consider the shift of policy by the US. Presently, the formation of Indo-Pacific strategy is the major step taken as backbone for this new policy shift. US also has started to reallocate all their tools for soft influence such as social engineering and developmental assistance to Asia region under the same shift in policy. This article may be unfair if we do not speak about the mighty trade war of Trump, Loosening the visa policies by Bush administration has resulted in huge number of immigrants from China and India. But historically, Trump had negative views on immigrants, and Trump, being elected as president, had made sure that some steps would surely be taken to make corrections. All this policy shift and creation of China as enemy has also benefited the USA on its home ground, especially after the impact of COVID-19, as this shift has been truly able to divert the major focus of medias and all the political think tanks towards China despite of the huge retrogressive impact of COVID on US itself. Formation of alliance between Japan, Australia, US and India is another example of policy shift to encircle China. Now, talking about China. China seems to know about the election stunts of President Trump and seems to be more passive towards US. Rather, China seems like only responding to US on reciprocity on each and every step taken against them. China also seems to be more committed towards its Belt and Road Initiative despite of the hindrance China has been facing because of the US allies in international level. The recent deal with Iran seems to be an important puzzle settled by China for furthering its policy. After the final agreement between China and Iran, China seems to create the linkage with Middle East through maritime strings of pearls and Silk Road's China-Pakistan Economic Corridor or CPEC. As China has been facing major setbacks on its policy in East China Sea and Malacca Strait, this linkage will guarantee China for tapping the energy resource of Middle East on difficult times as well and seems to be huge boon for China. In addition, Iran-China deal has clearly fabricated two vertical alliances in Middle East as well. Summing up the video, people were mostly aware about the China-US conflict only after Trump's election, but there were activities of kicking each other under the table since long. Many neutral analysts on the Western Hemisphere seems to believe this conflict as the conflict arose after the US hegemony has been challenged by China. However, Chinese believe that this conflict has arose as there is no any respect for its civilization since long. They refer to the century of humiliation on Chinese history. China says that the affairs in Asia is to be managed by themselves and the nation in the West do not need to get involved in matters of Asian interest. In future, the rapid vertical polarization of world seems to be inevitable because of the deterioration of US-China relations, and the old politics seems to move towards bipolar day after day. Future of politics seems more interesting and we will cover on them on our future videos. Thanks for watching and feel free to make comments.